Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
Welcome to this week's episode of First and Goal. This week we've got Prime Time 000. We've got Field General making a return, QP from the rooftop, and Coop from his couch. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing well.
Great.
All right.
Doing good.
So let's jump right into this episode. Topic 1, and Tiny brought it up earlier this week, and he was talking about some teams have better dev traits. And how much do you think that matters as far as developing your team as opposed to winning? Which one do you think is more important? And we'll start with you, Prime.
Yeah, I've actually, I think it's actually dev traits, believe it or not. And here's why. Let's look at Coach Pauly, who's had a team that's got mediocre dev traits. He wins a lot of games, but if you're not stat padding, then you're really not. You're not gonna. Your team's not gonna get that much better. You could look at RD, another guy whose team. He's got a few players that were already there, like Cam Akers, but as for who might have had a decent dev trait, but he's drafted players with mediocre dev trait. He's a great player. He's consistently in the top 3 in the NFC, and the team's not getting that much better. It's actually declining. And then you can look at Coop, who's been around 500. His team's gotten progressively better with good dev trait. You can look at KJ Slander, who's at the bottom 5 in the SML every season. He's got a 95 overall quarterback and a 94 overall running back. You go down the list and you start to see that dev trait actually matters more than winning, unless if it's a running back. Then anybody can dev a running back.
All right, Field, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he kind of contradicted himself a little bit. You start talking about the dev trait mattering more than winning, and you named KJ with a great quarterback and a great running back, but you also said that he's the bottom 5 team. If you win, that's going to take care of the rest of you. You've seen it out of Prime's teams, you've seen it out of Bomber, and those are the guys that are really deving these ship ball running backs into something great. And I can't dispute anything else other than saying that running will take care of the rest of it. I will say it does help if you've got those pieces, or at least a few pieces in place. It will help you win. But I think that the winning trumps have the dev traits, because you're getting the XP, you're getting the weekly bonuses and all that stuff, and those guys are going to develop as it's going. And if you're a bad player, you're not really getting the stats, and if you're a good player, you're reaching those goals.
Yeah, I can see definitely how that would work out that way. What about you, QP? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with kind of what Field just said, that for the win now moment right away, I would say, yeah, the development matters, because if you might get a better team with better players to start, but that would help you win, I think, as well. So the more you win, the more you get all your guys better. Me personally, from experience, I think winning gets my guys better than actually developing them, especially when you're winning, because you get breakout games, in my opinion. You get a little bit more breakout game options and opportunities, because usually when you're winning, it means you're playing pretty good. It means your stats are getting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely, other than like Prime said, running backs, rarely do you see, if you're a bottom dwelling team, if you're a 1-11 team, maybe your running back is getting developed, but nobody else is really getting developed, because you can't really be winning. You're not getting off the field, maybe defensively, or you're not getting the turnovers you need, or offensively, you probably are not passing very well, so you can't get your receivers, tight ends, anything like that developed any better.
All right, and Coop, how about you?
Yeah, I'll kind of agree with some of the guys there. I think for about probably 90% of the league, the dev traits are going to matter more. Even Prime, he called out me for building some of my teams. So a lot of the only guys I even developed or built up were on defense. I don't think I dev'd one single offensive guy. So it kind of depends on kind of your skill level. Even KJ with his quarterback, he probably drafted him as a superstar X Factor, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look that up.
Yeah, he did.
But there's guys like Dan or Bomber or the top guys that make the playoffs every year. They can dev guys and it doesn't matter as much. But having the dev trade already helps a lot. There was one season that I drafted 2 strong safeties in the first round. I had 2 first-round picks, and the first one I thought was going to be a superstar. He ended up being normal dev, so I went ahead and drafted the other guy that I knew was a superstar, but he was slower. And he's like 96ers overall, somewhere in there, and the other guy's like 78 overall. And I've been using them both. So for someone like me and most of the league that doesn't make the playoffs, dev trait definitely helps.
I just want to throw in there that I think I've won 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls, and I can't remember the last time I've actually had a dev game, a breakout game. So I'm not sure how EA actually calculates that based off winning or not.
Yeah, I think it almost seems like it's either random or tied to stats.
Yeah,
But at the same time, half your team is superstar, so there's not really much
can't
much
complain
to
about
dev
that,
there
now,
either.
can we?
All right, so moving on to topic 2. So topic 2, we've got the Madden 22 ratings out. I don't know if you guys had a chance to kind of dig into those and maybe take a look at what teams you want next season. But how much do you think the dev traits, since we're talking about those, will change people's opinions? I mean, everybody's kind of looking at the ratings now and kind of figuring out which way they want to go. Do you think that the dev traits, or how much do you think the dev traits will change people's minds as those come out? And Field, we'll start with you.
Piggybacking off what Coop just said, it's just going to depend on the player. I feel obviously since these questions are here, there's a lot of people that value stuff like that. So if you're looking at a guy that's maybe, 500 or less, kind of on the mediocre side of the game, maybe they're going to look at trying to give themselves a leg up by going for a team that's got the dev players. But you're going to have the homers. You're going to have guys that are just picking for the team like prime. It's the Colts. It's Colts, but the Colts are bust. If God bless Raiders soul, if he was here, he'd pick the Raiders, and you just kind of guys like that. For me, it's not really about that. I'm looking for certain players that fit in the skill set. I prefer a mobile quarterback over Peyton Manning for Madden, just because we have to go against really great users in this league, and I feel like a mobile quarterback is more important. But it's just gonna be everyone's personal preference, but I'd say the majority of the league is probably gonna base a lot of their decision making on player or teams and players that have those dev traits.
Okay. How about you, QP? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to matter as far as the superstar and X Factor dev traits go, because I think, for instance, Bill's team, if Josh Allen is a superstar X Factor, I think that it makes their pick even that much better. Same thing goes for a Chargers team. If Justin Herbert is maybe better than a star, they might go a little bit earlier, especially for a team that might not be user pass friendly, because they know that they can't maybe develop him to a superstar or X Factor during the season with their play. So they might want to take an already inherited superstar X Factor type quarterback. Same thing with running backs. Everybody likes to take the X Factor running back. That might steer people away if, for example, David Montgomery is a normal dev running back and somebody else, I don't know, a superstar. They might take somebody that just based off they don't want to take the time to develop one of those younger guys that could already reach their, superstar X Factor status by season 2 or 3.
Okay. Coop, what about you?
I'm sorry, who'd you say?
Oh, it's you.
Oh, okay. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'll go off of what QP said there a little bit. So I think the dev traits that may sway people's decisions in the draft might lean more towards like the rookie or second year quarterbacks more than some of the other positions. You can probably, again, dev a running back or a wide receiver or whoever you want. But having dev in the quarterback with a young guy and you've got him on a cheap contract, someone who, even like me, so say I get someone that's young and has dev, I'm not going to dev a quarterback. Whatever he starts at, that's probably what he's going to be the whole time, just because I'm not the best passer. So, yeah, quarterback dev is probably going to sway some decisions. I think the rest of it, probably not as much.
Okay. Prime, what do you think?
Yeah, pretty much agree with Coop. You can look at Chicago and San Francisco. Those are kind of 2 teams that, and maybe even the Jets, who have 3 rookie quarterbacks. And if those quarterbacks are superstar, for Chicago, for example, they might end up going second overall in the team selection draft. Whereas if they don't, and maybe the Browns have a superstar quarterback, that could change things. So that alone is an example, that a real example where it could happen. I don't think that people are going to look at so much and base their selection off of a pass rush trait by a right outside linebacker who's 30 years old, or a 30-year-old cornerback at this point. It's definitely the quarterbacks, maybe a running back or two, but with how easy it is to develop running backs, I can't see that being a thing. There's 3 rookie quarterbacks, and I think it's going to be Chicago and San Francisco that really are going to be the difference makers.
Yeah, I could see those 2 quarterbacks making a difference, especially the Bears there at number 2. I had terrible luck deving any quarterbacks this year, so if I could get a superstar out of the gate, I had no problem deving my defense. So
Yeah, since the cycle's over, I can say it now. The easiest way, quote unquote, to dev a quarterback was to get him on average between his touchdowns and yards and the top 5.
yeah,
Not the dev games, but you probably knew that. But
yeah, the yards are usually my problem.
the yards, yeah, that's tough.
But yeah, I could definitely see the devs making a difference. And like you said, the 30-year-old outside linebacker probably not a big deal, but those quarterbacks, and I actually think the running backs could be a big deal as well, just because with the luck with the random devs. I think I had one running back get 2 stamina abilities, absolutely worthless. So if you can get a guy like, Dalvin Cook with jukebox or whatever he's got, or spin cycle, one of those, I could see that making a difference. So topic 3, and we talked about how much dev points and ratings and all that could matter in team selection. But last cycle, we had 2 guys, Dan and Paulie, both talk about chasing Prime to the AFC South. And then when they both got to pick, each one of them came up. All 3 additional teams outside of the Colts were left, and both of them bailed. Who do you think is going to make a claim about chasing somebody this cycle and then bail on it in the team draft? Who's going to be the Usain Bolt from the South? And we'll start with QP on this one.
I'm going to be going with the 2 people that have been claiming that they're going the Texans the most this next cycle, and that's going to be RD and Matt. Both guys have been constantly saying that they're going to be going the Texans. They're going to be going the division to play Prime. And I don't see either of them going the Texans by the time they're up to draft. They don't have that team they don't have that run first team. For RD, I don't see the running back was Philip Lindsay or Mark Ingram for their guys. So I don't know how they're going to do with that. And then Matt, same thing. He might like Philip Lindsay for the first few years, but I don't see that either of them going the Texans. So I'll go with RD and Matt.
Okay. Coop, who do you think?
I'll go with I'm gonna go with one of the people that QP picked. I'll say Matt, just because he's like me and he's full of crap half the time. So he may just be throwing a curveball and saying he's gonna pick some team the whole time, and then when we get to the draft, it's a different conference altogether. So somebody like that. I don't know that there's been a lot of talk yet, so there could be a few people that do that by the time we get to the team draft. But yeah, I'll pick Matt.
All right. Prime, how about you?
Yeah, so just to clarify, I've had DMs from Paulie beforehand. I want to shout out to my guy Paulie. He's innocent. It was all a joke. Now Dan ran. He ran as fast as he could go away from the AFC South. Had all 3 teams to pick and didn't pick one of them. I'm looking at RD might be. I know if the Raiders are there, RD's going to take the Raiders. So I don't want to say it's going to be RD. Somebody who I was looking at is Dump actually, and Dump's he's a talker type. And he's already put out there that he might take the Texans if they're there. Dump does not want a part of that. He knows what it's like to be in my division already. He knows what it's like to lose to me in the playoffs, literally like it's 5 seasons. Dump's best in the NFC and hoping, I don't know, maybe his relationships are working out at the time or hoping that he's interested in the game at the time. But yeah, I'm saying it's Dump or probably Matt, who said I think he's thinking the Titans. But yeah, for sure Dump.
All right. Field, how about you? Who do you think is going to run?
First of all, -5 on Prime and Coop for piggybacking too much off of QP's answer. 3 guys that I've heard, and they made Coop, I'm sorry, it just is what it is, -5. 3 guys that I've heard that have made mention to go in there. Faz, he's talked about taking his Jaguars, and Flaccid Faz, I do love him, but I don't think he has the kahunas to go down there with T-Law and Timmy Tebow and to go there against prime time 0-0-0 twice. He doesn't want the sauce. He doesn't want that. That would not look good on him. So Faz is one of them. Woods, I've seen Peepaw Jr. bumping his gums a little bit, trying to Bernal just out there saying that he's going to go take the Jaguars if they're out there. So Woods may go ahead and cast a line, but I don't think so. Once again, they like these little pissant divisions. They don't like the challenge. They want to try to 8-8 and stay in those. And Faz likes to play against people like me and just pick on us bottom feeders. And the last guy that I saw that made mention, maybe not super serious, but when they got Julio was NYT. And NYT already knows what happens. Now, he has stole a game. Now, he did blow Prime out in the regular season. Then Prime went ahead and just clapped the cheeks, boys, in the playoffs. A complete 180. But those three guys have all made claims. I don't think any of those three guys will take the AFC South. I'm probably going to get fucked and have to play in the AFC South because of where I'm at. But it is what it is.
I think you'll be good. I think the Jags and think about
I
it.
do
If
want to
NYT passes on the Titans, maybe not.
I do want to say I think poor Faz isn't going to have a chance just where he's picking. I think he wants Trevor bad. He's bought a jersey from China like right when it came out. I think he's excited, but I think I think we might have a Raider fan moment in the draft possibly.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
them going before him. Dumps already made mention of wanting to go back to Jacksonville. I don't think they fall to him because he'd be on the other side of Faz, but
The good thing is, I'm just going to keep taking shots at Dump today. He's had great teams every cycle, and he still can't get over the hump. You know, that San Francisco team and that Jaguars team with Seth Stocker and the boys last cycle. If Dump gets the Jaguars, and so be it. That's just another doormat for me.
all right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think Field might be onto something with NYT because he has from the beginning, even before they got Julio, was all about the Titans, and then they add one of the top receivers. So we'll see if he runs from Prime. All right, topic 4 and the final topic. We just had the Hall of Fame voting, the first round. Who do you think are the 3 guys that are going to be locks to get in, and then one guy that you think is going to be snubbed and everybody's going to kind of think got screwed out of the Hall of Fame? Coop, we'll start with you.
Okay, I don't think I have a snub. That list was pretty long. I know Meats kind of based it on player overall a little bit. There's no way you can dig through stats of 32 teams and come up with a good list. So if they got snubbed, oh well, that was a big list and doesn't mean you're going to get in anyways. The 3 locks, I think these are pretty easy for me to call. I'm going to go with safety Cortez Street and Hendricks, both for the Jaguars. And then I'm going to go with the Edens that Dump has for the Niners. I think those 3 get in easy. Some of the other guys on the list, like I haven't played everybody more than once or twice, so it was hard for me to, look at the names and the teams and stuff and figure out how well they've done. I had a couple guys on there. I don't think their stats are going to get them in at all, but, Meats tried to throw everybody in, but those are my 3 locks.
All right. Prime, let's go with you.
Yeah. First of all, shout out to Meats for this fancy graphic. But obviously, I think Hendricks is going to get in. I think that Edens is going to get in. I don't see Cortez Street getting in. I think that honestly, I think it'll be for sure one of the 2 quarterbacks, Spencer Norton or Frank George. Or I'm just going to call it. I think Spencer Norton's actually had a better cycle than me, so I'll say Spencer Norton's going to get in. And the one snub I'm going to say for sure is going to be a snub is Troy Wiggins. That's the receiver from the Lions. And because Vince he's not a loud player. And Hova, obviously, he just kind of spun around. But one thing, if you watch those Lions games, you push the button, and this freaking receiver comes down with the most insane catches I have ever seen. If he was on a team like Denver or Jacksonville or whoever else, that guy would be getting hype galore. He's probably the best receiver, maybe. I haven't looked stat-wise, but one of the best receivers in the game.
Okay. Field, who do you got?
Well, it's kind of easy to pick Hendricks and Edens just because the seasons, the body works there. A third guy is kind of difficult to pick, but like Prime kind of points out, quarterbacks are kind of easy to go with, whether it be Norton or George. And I'm not really sure what the integrity of this Hall of Fame voting is. As Meats like the only one that's taking a tally of the votes, is there anybody that's really holding him in check?
Oh, it's rigged.
There may be a little,
rigged.
yeah, that's the thing. So there's a little bias going on, and I could definitely see Meats trying to snub Prime out of the Hall of Fame. So I could really see Norton or someone like that getting in. But the ultimate snub, well, my 2 serious snubs, I think that Hobbs and Cortez Street belong in the Hall of Fame. But Big Dick Reddick has a large body of work. I feel like he's going to get snubbed, and he also has a large. He's just got a large personality on and off the field. But Big Dick Reddick for the Hall of Fame.
All right. QP, who do you got? I think I already know who your snub is going to be.
Yeah. My lock are definitely, like you guys said, the running backs. Edens, number one for sure. And then Hendricks, probably because the impact he's had since he's been on your team. And then I'll throw in a QB. I'm going to say Frank George, even though Norton's stats are better. He's a little bit, he has a couple more rings, and that matters as well. So I'm going to go Frank George as the lock. Obviously, my snub is going to be my quarterback, Malik Adkins. Since he's entered the league, he's actually number 2 in touchdowns, right behind Norton by 1 touchdown, literally. Only behind Norton and George for pass yards, I think. He's ahead of Reddick as well. Reddick's going to be a snub as well. I agree on that. Mm-hmm. And then 70% completions throughout his career. So I think Adkins is definitely going to be a snub. He doesn't have a ring. He's not as famous, I guess, as the other QBs. He only has 1 conference championship appearance, but he's never not taken the football team to the playoffs. So that's my snub.
And he should be a Colt. If Blunt Burner would return my DMs, I was trying to trade for number 1 over. I was trying so hard. I had Darius Leonard. All these guys were going to go over there, but couldn't get a message back.
I mean, Blunt Burner probably just found out yesterday that he's no longer in the SML. So let's not pretend like he was ever answering that back. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. This week, it looks like Prime is going to edge out Field by 1 point, 65-64. So Prime, these 30 seconds, all yours.
Man, it feels. I haven't won in a while. You must be feeling bad because you beat up on me in the SML. I have nothing to say. Actually, I guess it sucks to be you, QP, because I beat you just by a little bit again. And Coop Field, thanks for gracing me with your presence. But today it's a FU to Coop, to QP. Sorry, Coop.
All right. Well, so that was an interesting 30 seconds. But Prime wins it with 65 points, which is exactly the number of points that I beat him by this season in our series. And till next week, this has been First and Goal. Thanks for being on, guys.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.